All right, folks, it's Matt Morey, and it's time for another leadership lesson of the day, leadership quote of the day. I am Matt Morey, the C4 leader, and today's quote comes from Orrin Woodward. Hey, Be-Badum? Is that how I'm going to pronounce it? Be-Badum. How are you today? I'm glad you could join us. So the thing that I wanted to say is today's quote of the day. Without courage, it doesn't matter how good the leader's intentions are. Without courage, it doesn't matter how good the leader's intentions are. This is from Orrin Woodward. He is one of Inc. magazine's top 20 leaders. He has the Guinness Book of World Records for the largest book signing ever. So he is a very big deal. If you haven't heard of him, go look him up online. His blog's usually an interesting read. In a matter of fact, I aspire to be at his level. Someday I hopefully will be there. Anyway, to get back to the quote, without courage, it doesn't matter how good the leader's intentions are. And yes, I'm reading it from another screen. It gets entertaining. The reason I picked this quote, though, is because leadership is about courage. It's not about the absence of fear. It's about courage. And the reason I say this is because it's the leader that has to make the decisions. It's the leader that has to deal with the difficult conversations. It's the leader that has to deal with the repercussions. If he's a good leader, he's the one that takes the blame, absorbing it for the team. And so the leader has to have courage, because all these things that a leader should be doing are the very things that cause most people to stop or to freeze, because they just don't want to experience it. And because they don't want to experience it, it rolls downhill. I hate to say it this way. It rolls downhill. People bad news gets worse with age. It doesn't get better with age. I'm sure you've heard that before. It's not a fine wine. So the faster you can deal with the situation, and the more straightforward you can deal with the situation, the more honest you can deal with the situation, the better off you and your team will be. And that requires courage. Intentions doesn't mean anything. What's the old phrase? I wish I knew where this came from. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. You can mean that hope you never hurt somebody. You can intend that your team will succeed. But if you're not willing to have if you don't have the courage to take the actions necessary for your team to get the results, then you, as a leader, are failing, and the intention doesn't mean anything. So I go back to the Calvin Coolidge quote that I linked to earlier this week. It's persistence, and courage requires persistence requires courage that moves you forward. You have to have the courage to act. And I almost hate to say it, but in this day and age today, it's even harder to find that courage to act, because analysis paralysis is everywhere. Do I do this or do I do that? Should I Google it? Oh, wow, look at how many Google hits there are. I've got 1.2 million topics on hits on this one topic. How do I analyze all that? How do I make the decision? You have to have the courage to make the decision. Now, here's the joke, or here's the trick, though, and I don't want to call it a joke. The trick is that it's easier to steer a moving car. So if you have the courage to act and the courage to lead, it's easier to adjust once you're moving than it is to try and fix something from a standstill. And you won't know if you're right or wrong if you're standing still. So you have to take that action. You have to be willing to take that movement forward in order to see if it's going in the right direction, so that you can adjust your fire, so to speak. Now, I'm laughing because I just realized I'm wearing a Superman shirt, and Superman is all about courage, right? Superman's all about doing what's right and taking action. This was not intentional. I grabbed this morning because I'm answering emails, I am working on blog posts, I'm doing things that don't require a lot of FaceTime. In fact, this may be the only thing that I do today where people get to see me, other than my wife. So I decided I wanted to wear a t-shirt, and I grabbed what was on top of the dresser. So Superman shirt, take action, take courage, do the right thing. The funny thing is that I'm going to be posting a blog post either next week or the week after about how you are not Superman, but we'll talk about that some other time. The leadership quote of the day, though, again, Orrin Woodward. He is one of the Inc.'s top 20 leadership experts. He has holds the record in the Guinness Book of World Records for most at a book signing, or largest book signing. Without courage, it doesn't matter how good the leader's intentions are. One other thing that I'm going to do is a quick shout out to Lynn Rose. She's the one that suggested that I needed to be more careful with the framing of my picture because I was doing this. I was centering myself. And if people comment, then the comments will scroll over my face. So she suggested that I spend more time like this. Of course, that just means that I look like I've got a massive chest and a small head, so I need to figure out another way to do this. But we'll adjust. And so Periscope is live. But it's a learning process. And I'm trying to have the courage to act so that I can learn. So without courage, the leader's intentions means nothing. I'll get the quote right. It doesn't matter how good the leader's intentions are. I'm Matt Morey, the C4 leader. As always, I'm committed that you will get more with Morey. Here's to you and your team exploding into